I'm Simon Sinek, and you're watching Behind the Brand with Brian Elliott.
It's brilliant. The light bulb went on. I mean, I'm a father, and that's a lot of the ways I parent my kids. I don't do a lot of teaching or preaching. It's all by example, and I do a whole lot more listening. It's sort of like 90-10 or 95-5.
And it's the exact same thing in an organization, which is the best leaders see those in their care as their children, as their second family, where you give them love and devotion, and you want to teach them a skill set, discipline them when necessary, so that they may grow up and accomplish more than you thought even possible for yourself. And not every person is the same inside the organization. And some people can go quicker, and some people can go, have to go slower. And some people are more shoot from the hip, and some people are more analytical. And it's not a question of right or wrong. It's a question of you have to be able to lead both those personalities, all those personalities. And you do sometimes have to adapt, and what you give to one, you don't need to or don't have to give to another. That's just how it works. That's part of the game. Yeah. And the good leaders don't do this one size fits all. It's the same as a good teacher. It's not like I teach and you learn. You bend and mold and adapt. Right. And some people need a little more encouragement, and some needs to be put down sometimes slightly. And it's the same kind of thing. It's a balancing act. So it's a great analogy. It's absolutely a great analogy.
Well, we've come back full circle then, haven't we, to vulnerability?
Yes.
Because in order to be courageous, we've got to be vulnerable enough to not puff our chest up and be the leader, or like your military friend who probably was, type A, very organized, had a plan. Sometimes you got to make a new plan. That's not working.
One thing that I learned from a Marine is no plan ever succeeds contact with the enemy. And I think it's the same in business, which is no plan ever goes according to plan. So it's like, if that's all you got, it's, there's an adaptability. It's not that we should have no plans, it's that we should learn to be adaptable and understand that things change. But vulnerability doesn't mean crying. It doesn't mean like, oh, I suck. That's not what vulnerability means. Right. Vulnerability means admitting I made a mistake. Vulnerability means admitting I didn't expect to ever succeed to this level, and I don't know, this is beyond my skill set. Vulnerability means admitting that I'm scared or uncertain or confused. And we call it vulnerability because you risk humiliation, and if you're an employee, you risk getting fired. I mean, in some poorly run organizations where admitting mistakes or admitting vulnerability literally puts you at risk, which is madness to me. That's a poorly run organization.
Well, that's the thing that boggles my mind too, right? Like, whether it's a head football coach or military leader, like, do we all want to live in a world that we're not able to make a mistake or two? Do we all want to live in a world, or do we actually live in this world where the leader doesn't make mistakes? I mean, are we kidding ourselves?
And this is the folly of leadership. And this is why we call somebody leader, by the way, not because they're at the top of the organization. Like, I know many people who sit at the highest levels of organizations who aren't leaders. They have authority, and that's why we do as they tell us, but we wouldn't follow them. The reason we call someone leader is because they're the one with the courage to take the risk to do the vulnerable thing first, to go into a direction that may fail, to admit that they need help, to admit that they made a mistake. That act is an act of leadership. It's one of the greatest acts of leadership there is. And when we demonstrate, when we lead and express our ability, then guess what everybody else does? They do the same thing. I mean, I learned this lesson the hard way. I thought nobody wanted to help me. The reason is because I never asked for help or admitted that I needed it. The minute I was willing to admit that I don't know what I'm doing, I don't know everything, I have huge gaping blind spots and holes in my skill set, as soon as I admitted those things, people rushed to help me. The reason they didn't offer or help before is because they didn't think I needed it, because I was the one busy lying, hiding, and faking, pretending that I knew all the answers. It was my fault, not theirs. Yeah. It wasn't the lack of available help. It was my resistance to admitting that I needed it.